in that case. So first item on the agenda is to, I just pull it up in front of me. First item on the agenda is to talk about the recent data update. Obviously we've had the new DFT, RRCGB data update. Suzanne, can I hand this over to you?
Yes, absolutely, Steve. So yes, as Steve says, then DFT released the 2022 annual collision stats data at the end of September, and hopefully by the end of the week, then that will be available to you in your Crashmap Pro. Crashmap.co.uk, in case any of you just might use that or tool, then that has just been updated this morning with 2022 data, and as I say, yeah, then the Crashmap Pro will be updated by the end of the week. And so that will give you all the officially released collision across England and Wales for up to the end of December 2022. For anyone who is operating on a Crashmap local, so I know that covers yourself, Alison, and Ashley, Neil, and Lynn, who's also joined us. Then obviously Crashmap Pro Local feeds off local data that you provide us from your local police force, and so we've got some slight differences there in terms of sort of what data you're looking at, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, and yeah, we receive data from you, and we'll send that through. I think West Berkshire, we're up to sort of June 2023, so I suspect we might be due receiving some new data soon to bring you guys up to date, probably to sort of the end of September. And I know in relation to Swansea, then we're having conversations separate to this meeting about getting you guys updated beyond the end of 2022. So yeah, that's where we are with the data updates.
Lovely, thank you. Any questions from anybody on data updates at all? No, great. Okay, right. Moving us.
Sorry, Steve. I could probably do with a talk through with somebody possibly separate from this to actually understand, because really I've just, as with most of my jobs, suddenly that's my job. Relatively little training about. I don't really know the difference between what what I'm seeing and what other people might be seeing, and when is it even worth searching to, for instance. I mean, I'm searching to the end of March of this year, when somebody asked for the most up-to-date figures, on the expectation that possibly we haven't got anything much more, but I could be wrong. So
happy to have a chat with you, Alison.
Yeah.
If you want to stay on at the end of this call, it's probably the best thing for us to do.
Yeah, great.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be a really good idea.
Right, okay, moving us on. So second item is talking about new and upcoming developments. Suzanne, back to you.
Yep. So our Crashmap at the moment is obviously our products run off the Esri platform. And at the moment, Crashmap is based on Esri's web app builder, which is one of their long-standing tools that they have provided, but it's actually retiring in July next year. I think it runs on an older version of JavaScript programming language, and so they are going to be they've brought in a sort of a replacement tool which is called Experience Builder. And all users of web app builders are sort of transitioning from the old version to the new version at the moment and in the coming months, and we'll be doing exactly the same in terms of Crashmap. It will look and feel virtually the same for you, with retaining all of the existing functionality, so please don't worry about the fact that it's switching. It will really be just a sort of a background thing for you guys, and of course we will keep you updated as to exactly when the switch is happening. I can't tell you, I can't give you any more specific dates other than the web app builder retires in July 2024, so it'll be sometime before then. But at the same time, the transfer from the Web App Builder to Experience Builder does give us an opportunity to just try and capture some feedback from users about the tool and any ideas or suggestions they might have about how we could improve the tool further. It's not to say that we'll necessarily be able to give you everything that might be on your wish list, but certainly if we know what it is that anything that you think that might be helpful, we can consider that as part of that switch over to Experience Builder. There might be some additional functionality as part of the Experience Builder platform that we can then utilize that we haven't been able to do previously. So yeah, so there is the potential there for some sort of developments within the tool to improve the functionality for you guys. In addition to that, we're also looking to make use of another Esri module that they've released, which is called Report Builder, which is just a different way to generate reports within their tools. Again, it's possible for us to do a like-for-like sort of replacement in a sense, in terms of switching from our current method of generating the reports to using Report Builder, but equally it's an opportunity to get feedback from yourselves about what you think of the reports as they currently are, and anything that you think would be an improvement that we can again consider, really. So yeah, is there anything anyone can immediately think of?
Just to make sure that I'm on the same page as well, the benefits of the Report Builder, from what I understand, means that people can customize the reports that come out rather than.
So there will be a template created for the report, and then that would be used whenever someone clicks on a collision. Yeah, it will be based on that template, so not entirely customizable, but I think the reports themselves, there's a lot more functionality available to us when we're creating that template that then can obviously transfer then to the end user when they're collating information. I mean, I know just in addition to my introduction at the beginning, then I joined Agilysys just 18 months ago, something like that. But before that, then I was a traffic engineer at a local authority, sort of sitting in a much similar seat as many of you find yourselves today, fending off those inquiries from councillors, members of the public, trying to collate information on Stats 19 data to respond to inquiries, but also to feed into development of casualty reduction schemes and the like. So looking at the reports myself, then I can hopefully understand where you guys are coming from and can identify some areas of possible improvement. There's a few features or categories on the Stats 19 form that we don't currently report on at the moment, and whether that would be helpful for you to have that extra information within the reports. What are they? Remind myself, not that one. So for example, at the moment, fields like whether the casualty was wearing a seatbelt, breath test result, and even junction detail is not captured in the summary report that you can generate through Crashmap. And that might be of interest to you if you're sort of looking at a casualty reduction scheme that is focusing on T-junctions or roundabouts, for example. If you can run a report that's interrogating collisions that have occurred. So whether that appears in the report format or whether it's actually a category by which you can filter within Crashmap, that might be helpful to you. Yeah, so yeah, those are kind of some initial thoughts that I'd had just looking at the report. But as I say, if anyone's got any other suggestions, then more than happy to hear them either now or, I mean, if there's something you think of that come off the call and you're next using Crashmap and you think, oh, that would be a really good thing, then absolutely drop us an email, let us know, and we can have a look at it.
Any idea on sort of expected timeline?
Oh yes, good point. Not any definite timeline, no. I think we will probably roll out the use of the report builder with the switch over to experience builder. I think so. It's yeah, I think it will be combined at the moment. But again, we'll keep users up to date with how that's progressing and when that's likely to be.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, so plenty of time. If nobody can think of anything at the moment, just drop us a line with any suggestions on things that you might want to see in report builder, and obviously we'll keep all users updated. Okay, so moving us on now. Okay, opportunity for we've just heard about the new and upcoming developments. Opportunity now to hear from everybody whether they have any suggested features or features that they'd like to see in future updates. Now there is a Mentimeter, but I don't think I'm going to use it for this one. But if anybody has any suggestions on things that they might like to see in future updates of Crashmap, please just speak out or feel free to pop it in the chat.
Alternatively, you could all be just super satisfied with the tool as it is and think it's all amazing, and yeah, it couldn't be any better.
I think the breathalyzer and seatbelt options are excellent. Really, really good, because that nips a lot of our stuff in the bud. Because as we know, we're living in a blame culture. When you're looking at a series of statistics, and you can really highlight, would there be an option if you're highlighting breathalyzer? Would there be another kind of impairment if it was drug use?
Any functionality that we can add is dependent on what's captured in the STAPS 19 form. Yeah. So I don't think that's captured at the moment. So no would be my immediate response, Lynn. But of course, we know that there was the STATS 19 review not so long ago, and there are changes afoot in terms of what data is being captured. And I think for some police forces who are using Crash, then the rollout of those might be sooner than some of us realise. And so, yeah, definitely, if there's also new data fields that we can report on as a result of those changes, then we'll be keeping abreast of the timescales for the rollout of the road safety or changes to STATS 19, and like the use of road safety factors as opposed to contributory factors, and capture those as part of this improvement to the tool, update to the tool. So yeah, we can keep that in mind, certainly, Lynn.
That's great. Thanks, Suzanne.
When does that switch over happen? Sorry, remind me. So we've only just had the 2022 release data. So next year we'll have the 23 release data. That won't have gone road safety factors yet, will it? It should still be contributory
No, it
factors.
won't do it. It would be Crashmap local users who might see the first changes depending on their police force and what their police force are doing and how they're operating. I think I heard the other day that possibly the first police forces who are using Crash on handhelds will be starting to report road safety factors from early 2024, I think. So not that long away, but as you say, there's that time delay in terms of the data being captured and then being sort of then released, depending on how you receive that data, whether you're receiving the national data set or whether you're receiving it locally direct from police forces. So yeah, there could be a time delay.
Any others from anyone else? Features, updates, or questions? Oh, okay. Right, should be finishing quite early on this one. Next item, just talking about sharing of best practice. So this is the opportunity that usually, depending on who's in the room, we would ask, does anybody want to see anything, ask any questions about how to do something, or want to receive a crash course in using the tool, or if anybody has done anything interesting or different with it, just if they'd like to share that with other like-minded people.
I'm always up to be reminded of what I could be doing and haven't necessarily found out for myself. So, but I'm very happy again to wait till the end and the experienced users to have to have gone off to other stuff if that suits other people.
No, I was going to say the same. I may join Alison afterwards, just have a bit of a refresher, really, just to make sure I haven't missed anything. Or if...
I think it'd be useful, yeah, just to see what it can do. I mean, I think we probably use it in a fairly simple way. We filter by what we're looking for, and we print out the reports and summarize the more detailed data in our TAs. But yeah, it'd be useful just to have a sort of an overview of what the software can do.
Right. Okay. Sure thing. Let's. If I give Suzanne a moment.
That, Steve?
Are you good to go now, or do you want me to blabber on about something for a bit?
No, I think I might be ready to go.
Okay, great.
Absolutely on the fly, so bear with me. So I'm just going to demonstrate the Crashmap Pro portal. Because all of you have got access to this. I know some of you are using Crashmap Pro local, but I think all of you have still got access to the Crashmap Pro portal. So we'll go on this, and the functionality is very similar in the locals. And if any of you've got questions about doing something in your local version, then we can have a separate conversation on that. First things first, I would just remind you that at the top of this that you can access a user guide, which just runs through the different functionality within the tool and can act as a useful reminder. And we do have a couple of videos here as well that you can have a look at. Yeah, you've got collisions color-coded by severity, and when you open up, then the default sort of screen setting arrangement is to have the filter window open, as typically this would be the predominant thing that you'd be looking to do. And so you can filter by severity, clicking on any of these drop-down menus and then selecting one or two or all three of the categories. What you've got to remember is then just to make sure that the filter is then turned on by this button here going green. And then similarly, then we can alter the years which we want to interrogate, but again, make sure that it is turned on. And I mean, these are all fairly self-explanatory. I won't go through them in detail because I know you'll know what they are. I think really the key thing is for any of these, then when you select them, just then to make sure that you turn the filter on and off, so that actually your filter is applied to the data. And then we've got at the bottom, if you keep scrolling down, when we've got which road users have been involved in the collision, not necessarily the casualties, but which road users have been involved in the collision, and then subsequently then which casualties were involved in collisions. And we've also got at the bottom speed limit. So these are the preset filters that are built into the tool, but you do have the option to create custom filters. So if you click on the little three dots at the bottom, and then the sort of filter icon with a pencil next to it, here you can edit and create your own filter. The coloured lines on the map reflect the Road Safety Foundation crash risk mapping results from 2022, but you're not going to do any filters against that, so you just want to select the crashes layer, and then you can either add a single expression or a set of expressions. So if we just add a single expression, then here you can select from this drop-down list. Then, as you can see, a much wider range of fields from Stats 19 that aren't necessarily available within the preset filters. So you can identify collisions at a pedestrian crossing, and then here you can select a number of options, whether it is or isn't, contains, whatever is appropriate to the field that you've chosen. And then she says, having found a field that is not always the easiest, but then the answers for pedestrian crossing, I think, are based on numbers, aren't they? So I'm taking a guess here, but let's go with 4 and see if that does anything. Oh, okay, so nothing in Whitney then, whatever that was. Probably nothing. Let's go try 2. What's that doing? Oh, no, this is where I really should get. So let me get the Stats 19 form up. Hold on a second.
Is this the one that's within a certain distance? I'm not sure how it's recorded, but it's within, 50 feet of the crossing, or
it could be. Sorry, folks. Let me just find. Oh, I think you're right, Steve. Yeah. So let me go back. So yes, I put, and then I think both of them are numbers. Yeah, you've got pedestrian crossing, human control, or physical facilities. Let's try a different option. So road number, we'll go with the 402. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we filtered by road number, and now we can see just 4 collisions, 4 fatal collisions, serious impact, sorry, on the B4022. So it's just literally picked out the road number. Class is irrelevant because I know sometimes you can have a road that's same road number but different classes, and so you can filter by your own fields as you choose. If we add add a set, then you've got the option, as I said, to excuse me, to add multiple fields to filter by, and you can choose that all of the following expressions in this set are met in terms of the results that are then displayed on the screen, or from this drop down menu, that any of the following expressions in this set are true. So depending on what fields you're searching for and what numbers of casualty numbers, for example, you're actually looking for, then it might be that you want all of the following expressions or any of the following expressions if there's an either or option within your field. So and then if you you can click and add a third. So if you select a set, then it always opens up with just 2. But if you want to add more, then you can click on the plus symbol and just keep adding. And so you can have as many different fields to search for particular crashes. So that's your custom filter. And again, just remember that there's got a green button at the top to turn it on and off. Yeah, so those are the custom filters in addition to the preset filters that we see in this pane here. Just looking at the other icons across the top here, then we've got the legend, and here this is explaining what the different coloured lines are relating to the RSF crash risk mapping. You can take a measurement, and if you click on the little icon, then you can change the whether you're measuring kilometres, metres, miles, whatever is suitable for you. and you literally just click on the map and it draws, puts points at the point where you're going, and then double click to finish it off, and then you can just click clear to get rid of it. In terms of base map, then we do just have the one option at the moment. That will be something that, as part of the experience builder, you will have a wider range of base map options. So if you're trying to print out a map, for example, and you wanted to use satellite imagery, then you'd be able to, or yeah, there'll be a different range of base maps there available to you. The next icon is the layer list. And this again just shows you what it is that you're viewing, and if you don't like having the coloured lines, then here you can just turn them off, and they will disappear. And if you click on the menu list at the side, then there's a few more options here. So when you zoom in, then labels start appearing, but if you don't like those, then you can just hide them. Or you can turn them back on again, whatever suits you. And you can change the transparency if you wanted to, depending on what perhaps you were displaying on your map. And also what we can do is, yeah, it's just a little bit of information. Then here you can print your plan, which I guess you guys will probably be quite familiar with. And there's a few advanced options there in terms of just exactly what you're producing in your print template. Each of these menus can be minimized just by using the little arrows. You don't have to close them all the time. But of course, if you want to close them, just click on the little X. For the collisions, if you want to see details of them, then you can click on this little arrow at the bottom to open the attribute table. And this is picking up the collisions that we can see on the map at the moment. So even if from the filters there were a couple of collisions to the south at this location in Witney, because I've zoomed in on just these two, it's just the details of these two collisions that are shown in the attribute table here. And these are all the fields from the relating to the crash itself that you'd see on collected from on the Stats 19 form. But if you want to see the casualty or vehicles, then you can click on options and then show related records, and you can open up then the vehicles details, and now what you can see is I've done that and it's opened up, it's obviously got a few different records, and so we can see that there are multiple vehicles involved in these two collisions. And equally, if I go back to crashes and do the same again, we can then see casualty to tool. Here you can see that there's a much wider extent. So if I go back and just click in the bar at the end of these and press Control whilst I'm clicking the second one, then I've selected both of those. And if I close that casualties tab and then show related records again, then I've just got the casualty details relating to those two collisions that have been selected. So yeah, so that's another way for you just to see the details of the collisions that you're seeing on a map. And we can just clear the selection there. And here, if you wanted to capture all the information in Excel, then again, you can export all of the information to CSV, and that will include then the vehicles and casualties. You have to export them separately, but having exported them separately, obviously then you can combine them into one spreadsheet, however you would like to view them, to be able to interrogate or analyze that data in more detail. So, and then you can just close the attribute table, just clicking on that arrow again, and it'll hide it. And then the other area is here on the left-hand side. Then you've got 4 more options in terms of tools. So here you can select crashes. You can select by sort of variety of ways. Literally just point and clicking on it, or we can do a lasso just draw whatever shape polygon you suits you. So that might be quite helpful if Andrew, perhaps yourself, when you're sort of looking at a slightly random area of junctions for a transport assessment, then yeah, that's the kind of thing that you probably want to be using.
Okay.
Then you've also got the option to do a radius search, and you can choose however big your radius is going to be. So you can find a location using the search engine, and then it'll just put a circle around that based on the radius that you've selected, and select any of the collisions that are within it. Here, I suspect you're probably familiar with this option here, because it's where you create your report. So again, you might want to do it based on a place name, or you might want to draw a shape, or indeed import a shape file that you've already got. Again, if you've got a planning application sort of preset area and that's available in a shape file, then you could upload that, and then that's drawn for you. You might have ward boundaries that are another department within the council has created in GIS, and you can get the shape file from them, and then you could import that and you could interrogate all the collisions within that particular ward, parish council area, whatever. But in the so just draw, then again you can draw whatever shape polygon you like, and then double click to complete that. The default is to have this 200 meter buffer on it, but you can just take that away if you want, and it's now just gone back to the random shape that I've drawn, and it's going to select the collisions within that. If I just click on report, then you can see it's picked up those two collisions that we can see on the map. And from here, then you can choose to print a report, which will look a bit like this, with a detail, your map of your collisions, and then the details of the collisions here by rows. This has happened to be one that I'd done that, as you can see from the map's got lots of collisions in it, so it's quite a lengthy one. I won't scroll all the way through for 41 pages for you. And also from here you can download it, but you can also click on the plus to expand it out, and then you can see the details of those two collisions there, and then you can generate your report, which looks a bit like this one, which is the sort of more summary report that I think you're probably all quite familiar with. And so the first page is all about the crash itself, and then picking up what vehicles were involved and casualties involved as well.
You mentioned something about the lasso function.
Yeah.
I'm sure I read an email when we were trying to, I think my colleague Rudo was trying to do something, and she was looking to do the lasso, and I remember seeing that it said, oh well, it's been discontinued. Could that just be in the local?
You might be thinking of speed compliance tool there.
Ah, right. Okay.
Alison. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
I've now got myself stuck because I can't move across, but if I can, no. There we go, back. So yeah, so you can see the details of the collisions here. And yeah, I think that's generally everything in relation to that. Yeah.
Oh, I've learned a huge amount.
Oh, really?
Things I didn't. Oh God, yeah, absolutely. It's all sorts of things I didn't know were in there. I shall go away and have a really good play. Yeah.
Excellent.
I mean, 90% of that I wasn't aware was there. So
okay.
Yeah. Oh. That's what comes of being dropped into something and say, here's the website, get on with it.
I think the final option here is just an infographic and just gives you a graph. It's not going to give very much here because I've only got 2 collisions shown on the screen, but it just gives you just a basic graph showing, in fact, no, it's picking up all of them. Yeah, the count of crashes across the year period that I'd selected in the original filter here. Yeah.
Nice
That was a little bit of a
thank
whistle
you.
stop tour for you. So if that's generated any more questions from anyone, then yeah, do feel free to get in touch with us. Just one final thing is there is a custom report here, which you might want to use. Have I got a copy of one? Steve, just fill in for me for a minute if I see if I can find a previous version.
Are there any questions that anybody has on that, or anything else that anybody would like to ask how to do? If anybody wants to watch this back, obviously we do have the recording, and I'll make sure that it's sent out to everyone. So if there's anything that you want to go back over, we will also be as time moves on, we will be recording lots of little videos to have up on YouTube, sort of bite-sized videos for people to go through in their own time to figure out how to do odds and ends.
Yeah, thanks, Steve, for filling for me just while I found this spreadsheet. So this is the download template that you can just click on this button and it will automatically download. And it from the I showed the attribute table where you can capture the crashes, vehicles and casualties and export them to CSV. Having done that, if you open up this template, then you literally just click on import crashes and it will ask you which file it is you want to import. And so if you select the crashes CSV that you've downloaded, and equally for casualties and vehicles, then it will then add three tabs along the bottom to the template that you initially downloaded. And if you click on it, I'll maximize my screen, then there's some sort of basic analysis done here for you. Now this one I had only had 2 years worth of data, which is why then there's not very much shown in the graphs. But if you were doing a longer period of analysis over 10 years, then it would give you much more detail, obviously. But just as a little bit of a summary of the crashes based on various fields. So this is where you might be able to pick up junction detail, for example, and equally for casualties as well and vehicles. So that might be a bit useful for you and might save you guys doing a bit of analysis if you didn't know that that existed and have been doing it yourselves. Yeah. I don't think that template is available through your Crashmap locals. So so yeah, so you might just need to come back to the Crashmap Pro in order to access that. And I don't know whether if you export crashes, vehicles and casualties tables from Crashmap local, if you can then just import them straight into this. You might be able to. Someone could give it a try and let me know.
Presumably you could just save a local copy of this.
Yes, that's what I mean.
And
if you downloaded the template and saved it to your computer, and then if you from Crashmap local download the crashes, vehicles and casualties tables, then I don't see why you wouldn't be able to input them. Yeah.
Great.
Definitely need to get to grips with Pro.
Even I didn't know that was there. So I've learned something new today. Thanks, Suzanne. Right. Last little bit. Normally now I would run through other data which sort of sits alongside or compares nicely with the collisions data. I'm going to briefly mention about connected vehicle data. So a little bit different to those that have the speed compliance tool. It comes from a different data source. We've recently partnered with TomTom to get access to all of their data for the past 10 years. So looking at vehicle speeds and some of the other things that we've done with that, I'm going to put a little link in the chat because this is anybody can go to the website and have a mess around with it to see what it can do. We've got a map of Banbury here. We've used Esri, so very, very similar to how everybody accesses Crashmap at the moment, presented in a map. And we have plotted the speed data. The difference with the TomTom data is that it covers up to about 30% of all traffic, and can also be available for up to the past 10 years or so as well. So they've got a huge amount of data presented in a very similar way. Whenever you click on the map, you get extra information. So we've got average and median speeds here. There are somewhere in one of these is also calculated 85th percentile. We've also looked at congestion. So let's have a look at hours lost to congestion. So we have calculated free-flowing speeds and congested speeds as well using the connected vehicle data. It's plotted in different ways, so distribution of speed plotted in different ways in graph form. There are some numbers up there as well. Also looking at the sample, it's got the sample size for each section. It is bi-directional as well, so you can split it out by direction. This happens to be a dual carriageway, but I can demonstrate that on a single carriageway. Let's swap the map to something else. There we are. So we've got speeds in both directions on this single carriageway road. We've got other profiles, time of day, and congestion, and then obviously your overall, put it back to the grey, overall speed profile as well. This one we've just calculated for sort of major roads. But as I said, I've put the link in the chat here. If anybody wants to have a mess around with that, it's available just straight through our website for you to have a look at and have a play with. But this is the kind of data that's now being made available. Connected vehicle data is pretty incredible with what it can do, and the amount of data that's actually just available as well.
I saw this on the 20 mile an hour in limits webinar yesterday, and yes, 20 years plenty aren't impressed with it, are they? Because they say it misses out, and it's all only the posh cars and however, it is amazing.
Yes, the chat in that webinar in particular was there was a lot of chat in there, not all
interesting.
of it. Yes. So connected vehicle data, just to clarify, is not just on new vehicles, because they've got 10 years worth of data. So the vehicles are at least 10 years old that you can get data from, and I believe the average age of vehicles is somewhere between 7 and 8 years on our roads at the moment. So 30% of all traffic, not just 30% of new cars. The other thing I wanted to mention, yes, thank you for bringing that up. The Welsh 20 mile an hour report. I don't know if everybody on the call caught it. We did analysis on what happened in 10 sample towns areas in the week after Wales switched to 20 mile an hour, so went from 30 to 20. We looked to see what actually happened to real speeds using this data in that week following, and released that report. So sort of the other thing that this offers is turnaround time, instant access rather than waiting for that year onwards to then get access to see what was happening last year. It is almost instant, almost live. I mean, you can run live queries on it as well. They're just, quite pricey to do that. Right. Last item, any other business? Has anybody got any other questions, comments? No, wonderful. Okay. Well, thanks everyone. we're always available. If you want to contact us, we now have a dedicated email address. So which I've just put in the chat now, support@agilysys.co.uk. If anybody's got any questions, then it just means that it goes out to multiple people rather than just the one. So should be quite good with response times there. As I said, any questions or any other comments at any time, feel free to get in touch. Thanks everyone for coming along.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been very useful.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks,
and you
everyone.
can-
Nice to see you today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
you can
everyone.
stay on